Hello, everybody. Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with another live session on Canadian immigration. I'm sorry I was a little late. As always, issues with technology. The live stream option on YouTube was acting a little crazy, so had to sort of sort it out. I hope all of you are doing well wherever in the world you are. The whole COVID situation, which had sort of captured the whole world, seems to be normalizing. In many countries, it is. A lot of countries are still facing the major threat. So hopefully, wherever you are, you're safe, your family is safe, and my prayers and wishes that you stay safe. In terms of Canadian immigration, there has been a huge impact because of the COVID situation. We've seen the processing become very, very slow. A lot of streams actually closed. A lot of people have their questions about the federal skilled worker program because it did not really work well for a lot of them. So a lot of issues that people had to face. In today's session, I am going to talk on a few things which I thought are important, and in last few sessions I have mentioned about those things, but I feel that people sort of misunderstood that. So first of all, in the last session, I mentioned about the Yukon community pilot program, and I uploaded a video about it. A lot of people, a lot of messages on our business social media accounts and email have been about the Yukon community pilot program, and people have been asking if we can help. I would reiterate the fact that you need a job offer, actually 2 to 3 job offers for the Yukon community pilot program. Our firm is not into finding jobs for people. We're purely immigration consulting firm. Our focus is only and only on immigration consulting. So unfortunately, we will not be able to help with any job offers. And for that matter, most of the immigration consulting firms will not be able to help you with that. You have to look for jobs on your own, or you have to find recruitment consultants, HR consultants in those communities which are listed under the Yukon Community Pilot Program, so that they can help you find jobs. I had provided a link for one of my it is one of the job boards within the Yukon territory where you could look for jobs through that particular job board, job portal. People did mention that it was probably that link was not working, it was not opening up. So I'm really sorry about that if that's what was happening. I tried that link quite a few times, my team tried that link quite a few times, and it worked. So I'm not sure as to what the issue was, but if you just go on Google and you write the Yukon working board, you'll be able to find that link, and you can. There's a lot of job portals as well. Indeed.ca is there. LinkedIn, if you go for LinkedIn paid services, that's definitely something that can help you. So do look into that. So for all those aspirants who are now asking about Yukon Community Pilot Program, we cannot help find you jobs. That's my firm, Shariq Immigration. We are not into looking for jobs for anybody. Second piece, second important update. I know a lot of people will be asking about the federal skilled worker draws or any other draws that will happen. Keep in mind, there are a lot of people doing a lot of speculations, and a lot of them are not even related to the Canadian immigration profession. So it is you who has to understand what speculation, what predictions you have to follow. Um, Whenever I do any prediction, whenever I give my own analysis, I always mention that this is based on the facts that are there and my own analysis, and it is by no means a policy statement by the Department of Immigration or by any of the government bodies. So anybody claiming that, anybody saying that they have these exact news, please don't put your head onto that, because that's not how it is. Um, some of the immigration applications which seemed that they were stuck. It seems that now they have IRCC has started processing them. So one of our clients had a spousal sponsorship application submitted, and this was submitted in March. Very recently, we've had acknowledgement on that. It has taken like good 5 months for that acknowledgement, which usually takes about 2 months. So there is delay, but with that acknowledgement, it clearly seems that now IRCC is back to processing those applications, or even if they were processing them previously as well, they are not now sort of sorting out the backlog that is there. So which is good news, that in coming weeks we will start to see processing on many other applications other than the skilled migration application, the spousal sponsorship applications, even work permits. Things are sort of moving towards normalcy in terms of IRCC processing. So that's the second thing that I wanted to share with you guys. In terms of student visas and stuff, keep in mind, I've already mentioned that for those of you who are looking at applying for study permits for fall, there is a two-stage approval process. The first stage being approval of your financials and academic related stuff. And the second piece will be your admissibility in terms of your medicals and biometrics and that sort of stuff. For those of you who would want to use this particular policy in terms of having their first stage approval done, and then that time being counted for the postgraduate work permit, you should have your application submitted online by 15th of September. So we're already on the 16th of August, so it's only about a month. So for those who are looking at starting online study in fall in any of the Canadian institutions, you need to expedite your process. You need to be quick in submitting all your relevant documentation for your study permit application. Okay, so we have a good number of queries and questions already. So Altaf Hussain, Assalamu alaikum Altaf, hope you're doing well. Muhammad Shamsi, Assalamu alaikum Muhammad, hope everything's fine. Mike Quebec, hello bro, do you still think that the next draw will be FSW? My opinion is that it will be FSW. That's my opinion. In fact, my opinion is that a larger number of draws from now onwards will be all-inclusive draws. I do not completely discard the possibility of having a mix of draws where some draws are all-inclusive and some are targeted draws, like maybe CEC specific draws. But we will get to see frequent all-inclusive draws from now onwards. Altaf Hussain, what would be the next draw in terms of FSW or CEC? I've already answered that. Likelihood is it will be all-inclusive. Let's see. Adil Emmanuel, hello bro, glad to see you again. Hi Adil, hope everything's fine at your end. Anthony, please confirm, will there be another FSW on 19th? See, I can't really confirm it. I'm not from IRCC. I am an RCIC, a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I practice it, but I can't officially confirm it. But my own opinion, my own prediction is that it will be an all-inclusive draw, most likely. In fact, I have a a few clients who are in high 470s. And if it is an FSW draw, an all-inclusive draw, that will help them as well. So my prayers are with CEC people, my prayers are with FSW people. Being a little selfish, because these are my clients, they are on high 470s. So if it is this week, if we get to, like the coming week, if we get to have an all-inclusive draw, it will be great for us working on those files. Venkata, hi sir, I have an OINP invitation. Am I eligible to do only tech jobs if I go through OINP tech nomination? No. So this query comes quite often. Once you become a permanent resident and you move to Canada, there is no binding as to what you want to do, what kind of job you want to do, or even if you want to do a job or not. Once you get the permanent residency and you move in, the likelihood is that if you have experience in a certain field, you will be working in that field. If not primarily that job. So just taking an example, like if you are a software developer and you move to Canada on a federal skilled worker program, a PR, or on a provincial nomination program, the likelihood is that you will be looking for jobs which are specific to that particular knock. But it doesn't always work like that. The first job that you might get might be in the field of IT, but it might be slightly different than software development. It might be something else. Like you've done programming and coding, but you might get a quality assurance job. Once you're in Canada, you have the permanent residency, you have the freedom to choose your profession as you like. So you can come as a software developer and start working as a product manager. You can even, it's your choice, if you don't want to do a job and you want to do something on your own, you might become a freelancer, you might start a business, you might start a restaurant, a cafe. So absolutely no issue. Even if it's a PNP, you move on the basis of a certain knock code. You're not bound. Nobody is going to check if you're doing the same job or not. Yeah, and that's not just for you. Sorry, I missed the name. Venkata. That's not just for you. This is something for everybody. So once you get your permanent residency, you land. You have the right of choosing any profession. And you also have the right to do a job for somebody or to be self-employed, and many people actually do that. Okay, moving on. So next is AKF. My score is 456 and I am in the pool since Feb. Any chance of ITA in 2020? Also my knock is 111. Any chance of OINP? So your score is 465. 465 is a very good score, and 1111 is auditors and accountants. This has a good chance in OINP. In the general draws, these people from this knock do get picked up. Although OINP has had a very high cutoff as well, so it's pretty competitive over there. But once we start seeing more frequent all-inclusive draws, the CRS cutoff for FSW applicants drops a bit. That's when we will see that OINP cutoff scores will fall as well. So 465, you have a good chance in OINP in few months. With FSW 465, based on the numbers that are there, my own analysis is that once we start seeing frequent all-inclusive draws, the cutoff score for FSWP applicants will drop. In my opinion, it will definitely drop below 470s. Into 460s. Now, exactly how much, that still has to be seen based on a lot of things. How many all-inclusive draws do we get to have? The number of people being invited, as well as other factors such as the source countries. We all know that right now India, which is one of the biggest source countries, still has a lot of closures. IELTS and all those things are a little difficult. Some other countries are opening up. In Canada, there is opening up. I've had a few clients in this week who've recently taken IELTS within Canada. So people, and these were CEC applicants, so they already they had their transcripts and certificates and diplomas, so they were able to do their IELTS, and now they're part of the pool. So a lot will depend on this, and then on the frequency of all inclusive draws. So I can't really say if it will fall down to 465 actually, specifically, or early 460s. It will definitely, in my opinion, based on the data that we have as of right now, it will definitely drop below 470s. So 465, I think, has a realistic chance. Let's see how it unfolds. Moving on. Sarabjit Kaur, hi, I got my ITA on 5th August and started maintaining bank balance from July, like FDS and cash. What's the right time for accepting invitation so I could able to clear from financial grounds? So it's not that easy. We have to look at the money that came into your account. How can you justify that it was your money? If it was your money and you have ownership and access to that money, there is absolutely no requirement to maintain it for like 6 months. Absolutely no. If it is in your account for like last 6 months, or close to that time period, then it is considered that it is your own money. The legal test that you have to qualify is that the money should be in your ownership and you should have access to it. Now, if you can prove these two things in a different way, you can actually have that money just 7 days prior to you submitting your application. So I'm not in a position to actually specifically answer that, and I would like to clarify one thing over here, that my staff gets a lot of queries through our social media platforms and the generic email address which is there on the screen, where people ask case specific questions. Now, I work as an RCIC, and I am bound by a code of professional ethics, where I am supposed to do it's a very delicate balance for me to provide advising. That's why I don't do case specific advising when I'm doing these live sessions, because what if somebody takes on that opinion and goes on and makes an error and their application is refused or rejected. And unless I have the whole documentation in front of me, I'm not in a position to provide advising on any of these cases. So for those of you who would want those case specific advising, see, you have to use the paid services, because this is my bread and butter. I have other staff with me, I have other colleagues with me, and this is what I earn out of it. So you would all understand that is paid services. The generic questions that you ask, as I mentioned, that you have to qualify under two conditions, which is ownership of the funds should be yours and you should have access to that. Now, once you at the time when you submitted you deposited your funds in your account, from where did they come? I have absolutely no clue, and unless I have my all your documentation in front of me, I cannot really comment on that. But if you can prove that these were your funds, like for example, if you sold something, if you had real estate in your name and you sold that and this money has come from there, then perfectly fine. You don't even need to wait for 3 months or 6 months for this money to be in your account. And it's your money. You provide documentation and absolutely fine. So Sarabji, I hope I have sort of clarified that to the best extent that I could. Okay. Moving on, we have Venkata, part to citizenship. Difference between being on a regular PR and being on a PR through PNP. So Venkata, there isn't much difference. The only difference is that once you're in Canada, you're a PR. You're a PR. A PR on a PNP or on any other visa, there isn't any difference. Like even if somebody applies as a refugee and once they get the PR, there's no difference in that. The requirements for citizenship are same as well. You have to have residency of 1095 days in a period of 5 years to apply for your citizenship, and then there are certain other requirements as well. But keep in mind that if you come as a PNP, there is an obligation. At times, it's a moral obligation that you have to spend about 2 years in the province as a resident. For the particular province which provided you with the nomination. So if you're coming on Ontario's PNP, you are morally obliged to be in the province of Ontario for at least 2 years, and then you can move anywhere else as well. Now, a lot of people say that this is not binding. The issue is that once you will apply for your citizenship, and if you've not fulfilled a requirement which was residency in the province which gave you the nomination, your citizenship application can be refused, and then you might have to fulfill the residency requirement in the province to become eligible for the citizenship. So it can have consequences once you apply for citizenship. But other than that, if you move into Ontario on OINP, PNP, and somebody comes on an FSWP and they also start living in the same province, once it's 1095 days of residency in Canada, you are eligible to apply for your citizenship. So no difference in terms of citizenship pathway for people coming through PNP or the federal programs. Okay. So Tabriz, any chance FSW 460? 460 is still a bit of a long shot. We'll have to wait and see if it goes as low as that. Rehan Ahmed, hi Shariq. Hi Rehan. My sister's brother-in-law, her husband brother lives in Saskatchewan. Can I claim 20 points as I don't have any blood relation with them? It's a very, very long relationship, Rehan. I'm not even able to sort of comprehend, but it clearly doesn't seem there is a list of I don't have that right off my head, but it has to be your real uncle or aunt, your grandparents, your parents, your child, or your first cousins. If it doesn't fulfill that particular requirement, then you cannot claim any points for that. And this clearly seems my sister's brother-in-law. So your sister's brother-in-law is, if he's your cousin, if he's your uncle or aunt, if he is your grandparent, if he's your child, that can be done. But stretching it that far, it wouldn't work. So I don't think that this particular relation, unless that's probably one of your cousins, can work. Next, Arjun. Hi Shariq, hope you and your family are keeping well and safe. Thank you, Arjun. No specific question. Today's will come up with questions if any possible the next draw. Perfectly fine. Feel free to ask questions in the weekend sessions or through commenting on the videos, and my prayers that you and your family is doing well wherever you are. Sachin, any chances for 461 FSW before December as after? 461 still is a bit of a long stretch, as I've mentioned quite a few times. We'll have to wait and see for about ideally about 2 more months, but maybe 1 more month where we have 2 to 3 more draws happening to really get to know what will be the trend in terms of all-inclusive draws and targeted draws by IRCC. 461 for now I feel is a bit of a long shot. It will get into 460s. How low? Let's see. Um, Arjun, what is your prediction if we have an FSW draw next? I believe it will fall by about 3 to 5 points, CRS points. 3 is what I feel, but 3 to 5 CRS points is what I believe. The issue is, see, and I get to see a lot of social media video posts, YouTube videos and stuff where people are predicting it to the point. It doesn't work like that. See, the real-time data that we had was what, about 10 days ago. In those 10 days, a lot of people might have had their birthdays, so they might have fallen down in terms of what their CRS was. Many people's profile might have expired, and probably their IELTS might have expired, so they might have moved out. Many people might have well, definitely a lot of people would have entered the pool, like fresh applicants. We do not know with what scores did they enter. And to be very honest, this is something that is unknown even to IRCC. Like, probably if they have a policy person who looks at the data every day, they would know. But the draw that they do is like a computer generated thing. So they come up with a number, like 3,900 ITAs, and the computer picks up the top 3,900 people at that time, after fulfilling certain requirements. So, such a specific prediction, like if they were sharing the real-time data, it would have been different. But now, with 10 days already passed, there is always a margin of error. But I understand that with how things are right now, where not as many people are entering the pool, though the people who are entering the pool seem to be competitive scores, a lot of CEC applicants as well. It's competitive for people with CRS of 450 and above, but it's hard to predict as specific as some of the other people on YouTube predict. I don't know how. I do know why. It's to promote and promote their videos, get more viewerships and all that. But very honestly, in an ethical way, where so many people are looking forward to these kind of analysis and prediction, and you're stuck in the express entry pool, I don't like doing that. So my analysis says that if we have an all-inclusive draw, it will be a dip of around 3 to 5 CRS points, most likely. Anthony, when do we have to pay the visa processing fee? Is it at the time of collecting all the documents or when we submit it? So Anthony, the way it works is that once you will have an ITA in your CIC account, you will have a message that you've been picked, and you will be given a time of 90 days as per the current policies. So once you submit some answers into that, you provide some details. These are pretty extensive. Like, once you created your express entry profile, you only provided a few details. Now you will have to provide a lot of details about your family, your travels, your life history in last about 10 years, a lot of stuff. Based on that, you will have a checklist of documents. Then you start uploading those documents. Once you've uploaded all the documents, provided answers to all that, and you have check marks for that, at that stage you have to submit it, and that is when you have to make the fee payment. You have to make it through a credit card. Even a debit card won't work, so you have make sure that you have a credit card with you. So you once you have that, you go online, like in your CIC account, and you have the option of making that payment. So you make that payment. You have two options. One is your application fee. You have to pay that at this stage. The other is your right to residence fee, right to permanent residence fee. You have the option of paying it at this stage, or you can wait on it. Once you have your approval done wherein your application is successful, they'll inform you that your application has been approved. Now you have to submit the right to residence fee. You submit that fee, and then again your application gets into the queue, and you're asked to submit your passport. It was always advisable, like for all my clients, ultimately it's the choice of the client, but I advise to pay both these fees upfront so that there isn't a further delay, because otherwise once you have your approval, they will ask you to pay this fee, and then it will get into a queue again. So it might be additional 1 to 2 months, and with the delays in processing that we are witnessing right now because of COVID, it might actually be more than that. So always advisable to pay these two fees. Altogether, it's only going to be a few $100s. But you have to pay it once you have all your documents uploaded, all answers provided. At that stage, you make the fee payment and you submit your application, and you get AOR, which is acknowledgement of receipt. Next question is Altaf, brother, only you who is saying it will be FSW, others, right? All the people who are experienced ones have another opinion, so that's why we are ambiguous. Altaf, I've clearly mentioned that it's my opinion, and it's the opinion of other people. Now you have to make and I'm no authority. I always say that this is not an IRCC information. This is information that is based on our own opinion on our everyday dealing with other RCICs. I can be wrong. I'm a human. I can be wrong. My assessment is that now we will have more and more all-inclusive draws. Number one. Number two, keep in mind that if it is Canadian immigration lawyers or RCICs saying anything that it will be a CEC or FSW, that is different. I respect and honor all of them. But if it is people who have nothing to do with immigration and they are just saying all this to promote their videos, then you have to be careful, because it is just without any analysis or basis or being a professional in this industry, they're saying this. But I totally respect whatever any other RCIC or immigration lawyer is saying. And I say this with this disclaimer that I can be wrong. This is my opinion. My opinion is that we will have more and more all-inclusive draws. Next draw, I do feel it will be an all-inclusive. I can be wrong on that, so I'm no authority on that. KKK, my good old friend who's been following and being part of the live sessions all throughout. I hope you're doing great, and you've enjoyed your Sunday as well. SINP has now conducted 2 draws in a row and not included knock 0601 in the E draw, which used to be a regular knock until earlier this year. What's your take? Very honestly, I haven't been able to sort of do an analysis on SINP. Was a little busy with some other stuff. There are knocks that provinces can change. So if it hasn't been included in 2 draws, yes, it might be that they've changed the priority. But then again, because they've been pretty consistent with some of the knocks, 20 odd knocks have been there every other draw. If it is the second time, and very honestly, the recent draw that they did, I was not able to do an analysis on that. So if it's not been there in 2 draws, I would agree with your opinion that it might be something which has been taken out, or which might not see invites as frequently. Neelam Sharma, can you explain the procedure if the secondary applicant has funds in her account? So the way it works is, as I've already mentioned, that you have to show the access of funds, and it has to be shown by the primary applicant. Now, if it is the funds, one possibility is that main applicant and their spouse, they have a joint account and the funds are in there, then that's fine, that can be used. If all the funds are in an account which is solely owned, operated by the spouse, then you have to provide some justification, explain it, that the main applicant, the primary applicant, has ownership and access of that. Because the whole purpose of these funds is that you have to have these funds with you once sort of you move to Canada. Will you have these funds with you to manage the initial expenses of yourself and your family? One important piece in this particular case is that is the spouse accompanying spouse or non-accompanying spouse. If it is non-accompanying spouse, then you have to provide even more explanation, because then that particular spouse will be in the home country and the main applicant will be traveling to Canada. So you need to justify how will these funds be accessed by the main applicant. So you have to provide some justification in this case in terms of access to the funds. Tahir Shabir, is getting a job offer a real thing or just a dream? Can a journalist get PR? So second question, can a journalist get PR? For sure. There are many journalists who've got the PR. You could nominate it as a knock and come to Canada. It's not really part of any of the PNPs right now. So it has to be a federal program, or you could do study here in Canada and then look for a pathway. Getting a job. Now, that's again one of the things that on social media I get to see, where people are posting so many videos and stuff, and they're trying to, and there's a lot of scam. More recently, somebody sent a document to my staff asking that they've been offered a work permit. When we looked at the whole wording of it, it was clearly, like, we could understand that it is fake, but yes, somebody who is a common person who isn't well aware of all these terminologies in the field of Canadian immigration might not be able to decide if it is a real one or a fake one. Finding a job if you're outside of Canada is a difficult thing. I'll be very honest about it. And that's why when a lot of people say that this regional pilot program has come, the Yukon community pilot program, it is so easy to get a job, it isn't. For the very basic reason that, see, if you're an employer in Canada, if I'm an employer and I have to hire somebody for my firm, first I would want to have that person from within Canada, because there are people over here. If I have to hire somebody from outside of Canada, the first challenge that comes to my mind is that I'll have to sponsor them, I'll have to do a lot of paperwork, and I'm an immigration consultant myself, so I can do this all pretty smoothly. So just consider some employer who has a need, and they would be thinking that, okay, it might take months before this all works out. Number one. Number two, the skill set, the match and skill set. So if you have people over here and you interview them in person, you can interview them and test them 2, 3, or 4 times. You have a better opportunity to assess their skill set. If somebody is outside of Canada, it is difficult to assess their skill set. And if you hire somebody, you do this whole paperwork, and then at the end of that person comes, and after 2 months you're like, oh, this is not the right skill set. Nobody wants that, and nobody wants to do that whole drill over and over again. So finding a job from outside of Canada is a difficult thing. It's not that it doesn't happen. There are people who've had it. Certain professions, like if you're in IT, the chances are higher, because people can still assess your skill set even if you're away. At times you do not require a certain level of communication ability. But say if you're a journalist, if you're a PR person, if you're a marketing person, at times you've you've done journalism in the country that you're based in, but that might be very different to how it is done over here. So it becomes difficult. It isn't all that easy to find a job. It's not impossible, and it varies between profession and industry to industry as to how realistic it is to find a job. And if you have to find a job, you have to do a lot of work on garnishing your profile, your online profile, your CV. You have to change the format of your CV, because the CV that you're using in your home country might be very different to how it is in Canada. In Canada, the CVs are pretty simple. They don't like CVs with a lot of pictures and such kind of stuff. You have to do that. You have to go online. I always propagate LinkedIn paid services, connect with recruiters, talk with them, discuss with them, and that's how probably you'll be able to find something. Karan Gill, hello sir, glad to see you. My FSW score is 460 and my qualifications are Bachelor in Physiotherapy and post basic graduation in business man in 1 year. What type of chances do you think? 460, as I mentioned, is still a bit of a stretch. I don't know if you have any possibility of sort of improving your CRS score slightly. You have a bachelor's and then you have 1 year, so you might actually be scoring the high, if not the highest, the best, depending on the ECA that you have. High enough points for your education. Maybe if you could improve slightly on your IELTS, 1 or 2 modules somewhere. I'm not sure about your age. That is something that you can't really improve on. If you could raise it by another 4, 5, 6 CRS points, your chances would increase. Now, for a physiotherapist, I don't see any PNP options, but depending on what work experience you have with this score, if you have work experience which relates to some of the professions which are invited for Ontario, there is some possibility in Ontario. Alberta as well, but Alberta, they do invite people with CRS scores as low as 300. 350 is a common one, but you need to have a very close relative over there. Ontario might be a PNP to look into, depending on what work experience you have, what's your knock. FSW, I would say, if there is a possibility of improving your CRS score by another, I would say 4, 5 CRS points, you will be in a much greener zone. Okay, moving on. Sarabjit, you're welcome, Sarabjit. Mike, you're welcome. Venkata, thanks a ton, sir, for answering my question. My pleasure. Chinuru, hi Shariq, I am looking to hear any positive news on visitor visa approvals. If anyone have got recent approval of visitor visa approvals. Somehow we haven't had, I haven't been taking any new visitor visa applications all during this time period. Since the COVID situation, it never, because once they came up with the travel restriction, I stopped taking any of the visitor visa applications. Some of the visitor visa applications have been in processing. We've had some people travel because of the exemption that they had, so I can't really say 100% on this, but for now, depending on what is your reason to travel, it is still difficult to get an approval on a visitor visa application, although they've announced the policy that if the reason is a necessary reason for travel, you can submit your application and there can be approval as well. But right now there is a travel restriction. So say somebody wants to attend a conference in November or December and they're applying for a visa at this stage, that makes sense. So they might grant them the visa, but if it is just tourism right now, it wouldn't really be. Or if it is If it is a family occasion, I highly doubt that for a family event or occasion you will be able to get a visa. But certain instances are possible where you might be able to get a visa approval for the end part of the year, if your intended travel dates are for the end part of the year. Okay. Megha, when can I expect ITA with CRS 468 FSW? 468 is a very good score, Megha, and I would expect this score in, say, about, now again depending on the frequency of all inclusive draws, but if it is all inclusive draws regularly happening, no targeted draws, probably in about 3 draws from now. If it is an alternative thing where we have an all inclusive and a targeted, then it might be around 4 more draws that we get to see this. But 468 is a good score, so you should have all the hopes. This is Frymian1. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Hello, sir. Regarding proof of funds, I have the necessary money in my account, but my boss in the company I work in pays me each month different amount depending on company financials. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. See, even if you're working for a company in a job where you do sales, so your salary can be totally commission based. So 1 month you do really well, you're able to sell well, you might get really good amount of money coming into your account as your salary. The other month you might not be able to do as many sales, and it might. The only important test, the legal test, is that your job has to be a paid job. You might be on a work which is only to gain experience, like a traineeship or something like that. As long as it is paid, and your employer mentions on your work experience letter that it was paid, and what was your compensation package. Like if it was a fixed salary, was it $100 a month or was it $10,000 a month? That's if it was on commission basis, they clearly mentioned that okay, it was a commission basis thing wherein you were paid 10% of the amount for each sale transaction that you did, and they can provide salary slips for that. That's fine. If it is a combination of two things where you have a fixed amount, say maybe 100 like $1,000 as your fixed amount, and then a variable amount onto that, that's fine as well. But as long as you were paid, it's perfectly fine. Okay, moving on. I saw that there was some issue with probably my internet connection, so the stream was not all health was not all that great. So sorry if you guys are witnessing that. We'll just do a few more questions and then we'll end the session for today. Asfand Yar, thank you for your positive words, Asfand. Rashid Buraich, hi sir, proof of funds कब तक show करने होते हैं? Rashid, I don't know what your question is specifically. I don't know which stream you're for, which stream you're asking for. The proof of funds are supposed to be shown at this stage once you get your ITA. So once you get your ITA, you will have to show the proof of funds at that stage. Now, in terms of for how long are you required to keep those funds? That's dependent on if they are there in your account for about 6 months. That's brilliant. If less than that, then you have to provide proof of the ownership and access of those funds. Mega, thank you. You're welcome, Mega. Chinuru, you're welcome. Marianne D'Souza, hi Shariq, good day to you. Thank you for your videos. They are very helpful. You're welcome. There was news about GCKey account being hacked. I recently uploaded my details following the PNP NOI that I received. Coincidentally, I was unable to log into my account yesterday. Should I worry? Don't worry about it. CIC will work on anything. At times, there is this thing where you have to log in to your CIC account multiple times. It is known for doing these things, and at times, a lot of people are trying to access it at the same time, so there can be a lot of pressure as well. So don't worry about it. Try clearing the cache, and you can also try using different browsers. Sometimes it works on one, sometimes it doesn't. So don't worry about that. It will sort of fall into place. Aswandiyar, we're already 51 minutes, so I'll try and close this. Aswandiyar sir, how PNP works for the regulated occupations like pharmacist? We can apply without licensed. See, for the PNPs, the way it works is that every province has its own demand list. Keep in mind all the regulated professions that are there. If you have to work in that profession, you have to have the required provincial license. You might immigrate, but you cannot work in that profession unless you have the licensing. So I'll just give you an example for pharmacists. A lot of pharmacists who fulfill the requirement for FSW, they're not required to have licensing. They only show that they have qualification, which makes them eligible to be a pharmacist in the country that they're in, and they have experience working as a pharmacist. So they qualify under the Federal Skilled Worker Program. They move to Canada, and once they move, and as I've already mentioned, that if you move on the basis of you being a pharmacist, like you're not being a pharmacist, it is not that you land here and then you have to only work as a pharmacist. It's not a job offer. Keep in mind, if you are coming here on a work permit, you have to do the same job for the same employer. But if you're coming here on a permanent residence, this is a very, very important difference to keep in mind. A permanent residence has the freedom of working for anybody and to work whatever they want. So as a permanent resident, if you get your permanent residency under a PNP or under the one of the federal programs and you move, it is your own choice if you would want to work in that field. So if you're a pharmacist and say you got your PR under the federal program or even a provincial program which did not require you to have the license at the stage of PR application, you can move to that province or any province and then decide if you would want to continue with working as a pharmacist. If you have to work as a pharmacist, you will start your own process of licensing, where you first have to have your degrees and experience assessed in the country that you were practicing as a pharmacist, and then you're supposed to take certain exams and stuff. A lot of people I know, like a lot of engineers, because in Canada, even engineering is a licensed profession. There are provincial licenses. Many people have moved here as an engineers, and then they were like, the licensing process is too long, or they didn't really want to do that. And they started working in management roles. Some people do their masters, their MBAs, they already have experience, and they become product managers and management professionals. Some start their own businesses. So even if you qualify for a permanent residency stream as a pharmacist or as any regulated profession, and you are not required to have your licensing, the professional licensing done as part of PR process, once you land here, it is your choice if you want to do that or not. There's no binding on that. Okay, last couple of questions. Al Hassan, I have sent you email with my resume. Hassan, if you've sent it on this email address, it will be reviewed by my firm's staff. They review all the applications. There is a very large volume of applications, so keep in mind that it takes 2 to 3 working days, and Saturdays and Sundays are not working days in Canada. I actually do these sessions on Sundays, but my staff and we are not working, so I'm not working on any of the official work, or my staff is not working. So I just do these sessions because it's a day off, so it's easy for people to listen to all this stuff. So always keep in mind, once you submit your email, it will definitely be replied, but do have some patience. Allow 2 to 3 working days for a reply, because there's a large volume of queries that we have, and we have to process them one by one. Rahul Dhawan, sir, I have 75% funds in form of fixed deposits on my name and 25% on my accompanying spouse name. Will a letter of consent explaining no objection on using funds by prime applicant work, or a notarized letter? I would say a notarized letter is always a better thing. And if she's an accompanying spouse, it might not be all that big an issue. Like if 25% of the funds are in an account which is all by hers and not a joint account, it would be a good thing to have a letter of explanation, a consent letter from her, and she will be accompanying, so both of you will have access to that. A notarized letter will be a better thing. I always suggest my clients to go with the notarized letters, because that becomes a legal document. Al Hussein, no, my time is not precious. Yeah, it's valuable because today on a Sunday I take my time out of my family's time. But you've sent an email. Just allow us 2 to 3 working days. Like it might be answered before that, but allow 2 to 3 working days, and one of my staff will get back to you. Marianne D'Souza, another question. Apart from my appointment letter, I have my job description on my company letterhead digitally signed by my manager in 2008. Would this be sufficient? Marianne, again, this is a case specific thing, and if it fulfills all the requirement, all the ingredients that are supposed to be there, your job title, your duties, the knock code that you mentioned, the explanation on the letterhead that you mentioned, if it complies with the lead statement and a substantial number of the responsibilities for that job, if it tells about the work hours, if it tells about the salary that you were being paid, the duration, then that's fine. If it doesn't have any of these ingredients, it can be rejected. So as long as that letterhead has all these ingredients, it should work. But I cannot say that this will work or this will not work, because I don't have the documents, and I only provide that kind of advising once I review those documents. And I've already mentioned in the initial part that those are paid services. So this is my bread and butter, so as long as the ingredients are fulfilled, the duties, the lead statement of knock code are covered in the duties as mentioned on that letterhead. your work hours are mentioned, your duration is mentioned, your salary is mentioned, it should be fine. So second part, you asked, do I need a single document having details such as my joining date? If it is a single document, always great. If it is not a single document, still through multiple documents, it can be explained and justified. We're already at 1 hour, so I'll take just a couple more questions and then I'll end it. Ajay, in completeness check, CIC website says applicant must include the IME number in their EAPR, but mine eMedical says non-ED as IME. Can this render an application incomplete? Medical is a very important thing, so yes, yes, this might be an issue. You have to look into the details. It has to be with express entry applications. If things are not perfect to the point, officers a lot of time return it and don't provide you the second chance. Name on resume, I sent it 3 weeks ago. Name on resume is Sohaibul Hassan. I sent it 3 weeks ago. Hassan, if you've sent it 3 weeks ago, you should have definitely got a response on that. C139_201 I'll try and have a check from my staff. You would have definitely got a reply on that. Now sometimes what happens is that if you're asking for a case specific thing, they might have asked you to book a consultation, because I mentioned that this is our profession. So if it is a case specific thing, then definitely you'll have to book a consultation with us for that review. But I'll check with my staff and get back to this email probably in a day, Monday or Tuesday maybe. And if you haven't had a reply, you might just resend it again on the email address which is on the screen, which is info@shariqimmigration.com. If it hasn't been replied, I'll look into it. Sukhwinder, hello sir, my CRS is 470 FSWP, very good chance in incoming draws, so stay positive, Sukhwinder. I have worked in a company for 40 days but resigned after that, and they are not willing to give me the reference letter, so can I remove that achievement from my work experience? Primary applicant, Neelam, it will depend. You need to have 1 year of continuous experience to meet eligibility. If these 40 days were part of that 1 year of eligibility, then it can be a bit of a trouble. If it was not in that and you still have 3 years of work experience other than that, what you can do is that you provide this, you do not claim any points for that. So you provide this as personal history, and then you only provide a job experience letter, which might just say that Neelam Sharma joined us on this particular date and ended on this particular date, and that's about it. If they are not giving you work experience letter at all, I would never say that you remove anything, but if you have any letter showing that you were appointed and maybe a copy of your resignation letter, you can provide that and you can explain it. These are the things that we work in letter of explanation or additional documentation that we provide. Sukhwinder Khera, hello sir, my CRS is 470. Any hope, Sukhwinder? 470, a good possibility. Ajay Marianne D'Souza, for completeness check for reference letter of work experience, check this. Ajay cannot pay, so search CIC express entry completeness checks. Yes, Ajay, that is a basic thing. So if Marianne, as Ajay has mentioned, if you are able to fulfill the requirements, the ingredient requirements that are there mentioned in that through one document or a set of documents, that will be fine. So it has to be complete in terms of what is required in it.
And this is a thank you, Ajay. I will take a look. And the last one, Vivek Silvam. Hello, sir. Spouse not accompanying will be a problem if both are living in Canada. Want to remove spouse from PR application to improve my CRS. Now, if your spouse is living with you in Canada, important thing will be what will be their status. On what status are they in Canada. You can definitely do a non-accompanying spouse thing, but you have to explain this very well. If their status in Canada is dependent on you, then you have to justify it very, very strongly as to once your application is approved, they will definitely leave Canada and go back to the home country. If they have their own status, then it's not much of an issue. You can always look into this. Yeah. Fair enough. I think that's it. We've already crossed like an hour mark. I hope I have been able to answer some of your questions and queries. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for posting these questions, because they become a basis of a lot of these questions. A lot of other people who have these little questions and queries, they're able to ask. I've not been able to upload a lot of videos in last about 2 weeks, as I've been really busy with some work stuff. In coming days and weeks, I will be trying to develop more videos, doing some new projects. I would greatly appreciate all of you to comment on the different videos, and if you have queries and questions, post it over there. Keep in mind, and this is something that I'm saying with all due respect and in a very humble way, that very specific case advising I'm not able to answer, or my staff is not able to answer those questions for a professional reason, and precisely for professional reasons. Like, until unless we have all the documentation with us, we cannot do advising on that. That is against the code of professional ethics that I have to follow as an RCIC. And also do understand that this is our bread and butter. I do these sessions to help people know about Canadian immigration in general and try and stay away from scam. In terms of policy stuff, I always answer. But more recently, we've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of queries where people are asking about case specific things. We run a business, we run an entity, I have staff, I have my own family to feed. So those things are paid services. So I hope all of you as professionals, as individuals, would understand that. And if my staff writes back to you that this is something for which you have to use the paid services, I hope it doesn't really offend anybody, because that's not the point. So that's all from my side for today. Thank you for joining. I hope you guys have had a great Sunday wherever you guys were. Till the next time that we meet, take care.